Let's, let me make sure. We are live. Okay. I'm going to keep the chat open just in case anybody posts in the chat.
Oh, should I watch that as well?
You don't have to, because I'll let you know if there's a question. Let me go to the dashboard here. And then
5,000 viewers.
0 viewers. Come on now. Oh, someone's here. Sean W is here. Hey, Sean.
Hi, Sean.
All right. Sean, can you hear Ray? Because I want to make sure that I have the audio set up correctly to capture my Hangout audio.
Testing.
So if you could just let us know, Sean, that would be awesome. Hello, friends. It's the real Dan Vega. He says he can hear me fine, but Ray is super quiet. So let me see if I could boost the volume in here.
Just keep talking and pretending like I know what to say. Or score and blah, blah, blah.
Audio.
Testing.
Is it like Dan says he can't hear you? All right, let me try one thing here. All right, talk again.
This is Raymond Camden coming to you live from Lafayette, Louisiana, home of the Raging Cajuns. That's all I had.
The Raging Cajuns. No, it's still really quiet. Well, I thought for sure that I had this set up properly.
And you can hear me just fine?
I can hear you fine, yeah. Everything's got to be difficult, right?
This whole internet thing is just insane.
Maybe I wonder if it's because you're using your, because my output volume's all the way up. I wonder do you have a headset that you could throw on?
No, that damn kid of mine took my headphones.
Always.
I can go.
Test.
Yep, now I can hear you.
Aha. Okay. You got really loud in my ear right there. Hang on a second.
Sure thing.
Did that get louder? Is that better, Dan? Cool, they can hear you now. All right. Whatever I did fixed it. But you're super loud in my ear, so let me turn it down just a little bit. All right. Technical difficulties, always fun. So, all right, we're here with Raymond Camden from Lafayette, Louisiana, and I'm Todd Sharp in Blairsville, Georgia. And we're just going to, I thought I'd kind of do this new concept of basically just like a podcast style interview, live, nothing edited, nothing polished. So, there's bound to be some screw ups but it's just a conversation between two geeks and kind of see what happens, see if it's any entertaining at all, and if we can get some life out of it. So I've known Ray for almost 15 years now. He's pretty much been my mentor through my early career and been a friend to this day. So I thought the first episode would be awesome to do with Ray. Ray's been around the block and back when it comes to technology, and I won't I won't steal all your thunder, Ray. But tell everyone about your days back at Netscape.
And that's
No, tell. So you work at American. You work at where?
right now.
Yes.
Oh, I work at a large company that's very OCD about saying that I work at the large company. So even though I'm proud of working at such a large company, I'm not going to say what large company I work at because reasons.
And that's why I stopped myself there.
You don't want to leave home without me. I'll just say that.
That's a perfect way to put it. And are you allowed to say what you do there?
Developer experience. So it's still developer relations. Our users are probably a very kind of small subset of, like the greater web or backend majority out there. It's a much smaller set, but same type of things, working documentation, sample applications, and it's a new group in this rather large old company. So it's kind of like a new thinking there. So
Mhm.
it's a bit rough. It's a bit wild, but it's kind of being on the ground floor there in DevRel.
So, in regards to your traditional DevRel and traveling and that sort of thing, how does that compare to your current job? Like, you going to be traveling at all? Are you going to be speaking at conferences, or is it more the online content type stuff?
It's more the online content stuff for them. So for me, I mean, I'm still speaking at various things. I just found out today I'm speaking at the NativeScript conference, and I found out because they sent out an email about the conference. My name was listed, which I'm
Nice.
fine. Like, hey, that's great.
Right.
That's on Vue and NativeScript. So I'm still traveling, just not really for the company and not as often.
Right. Okay. What when's that? When's that conference?
April 12 and 13 or 11, 12. It's in Amsterdam.
Really?
Heck yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm actually going to Europe for the first time in my life next week. So I'm going to London to speak at the Oracle Open World event in London, and they're doing like a little Code One, mini Code One type thing for Europe. So flying out there Monday night, and speaking. Well, won't get there till Tuesday morning, and speaking Wednesday afternoon. So I'm excited about that.
England, that's where all the history is, right?
Yeah, that's it's where our language comes from. I hear
I
something like that.
totally stole that joke, by the way. Just to be clear.
Of course, of course. Hoping to meet up with Mark Drew out there. Actually, I already reached out to him, so gonna hopefully have dinner and catch up with him. I haven't seen him in a long time, so it's been a
He's a
while.
cool guy. Yeah, I think I saw him at the Command Box conference. It's not called that. The Orta Solutions.
Into the
In my class.
box.
Into the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When was that? I just saw them on Twitter today, and I haven't talked to Luis in a while. But do you know when that conference is?
No, because all my conferences kind of blend together.
Understood. Good thing you got the stormtrooper over your shoulder looking out for us today.
Right.
It's always helpful.
And that's the baby one. Hold on, I have the big one. The big, the big daddy right here.
Nice.
Hi.
Yeah. So for those who might not know, Ray, and if you can't tell, Ray's a little bit of a Star Wars fan. Just a little Star Wars fan, right?
Yeah, I'm totally surrounded by Star Wars shit and stuff.
So let me get into. I have some questions prepared. Some of them are kind of serious, not serious, but on topic, and some of them are kind of stupid and off topic. So I thought that might make things a little entertaining. So I'll mix those in. So we kind of talked about it a little bit, but other than what you already mentioned, what does your conference or speaking schedule look like for this year?
Dev Nexus in March.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure I'm doing a Vue.js thing.
You,
And the NativeScript one in Amsterdam is also Vue, but Vue with NativeScript on mobile.
okay.
And I have a couple other CFPs out. I could not tell you what they are, but
Right.
that's pretty much it so far, and maybe Into the Box as well.
So I know from offline, well, not broadcast conversations that you've been kind of learning some Java lately for your new job.
Yeah,
So, you plan on taking in any sessions at DevNexus? That'd be a great place to kind of pick up some Java sessions.
maybe. Yeah, I was struggling with just using a simple jar and like using the class path and all that. And someone's
Hmm.
like, "Yeah, just use Gradle."
Hmm.
And so I tried Gradle with something else. I was like, "Oh yeah," it's like now I want to do Java.
Yeah, Gradle's awesome. I love
Difference.
Gradle. It's to me, it's much better than Maven. Plus I'm a Groovy fan, so obviously I'm gonna say that. Um, but yeah, Gradle's awesome. Ken Cousin has a talk about Gradle. Um, I don't know if he'll be doing it at DevNexus this year, but he's like a super expert on Gradle. I know Dan knows Ken. But if you ever get a chance, or if there's something online, definitely check that out. Um,
Sure.
Switch gears a little bit. I know you mentioned Vue.js. Um, what are your thoughts on the current state of JavaScript and slash front end tech?
I
Um,
think it's.
the last,
I mean,
well, that's all right. In the last few years, I mean, everything's kind of exploded. Angular has gotten so popular. Vue's come out. React, there's React fans, and obviously everyone wants to battle and argue about what's the best. But overall, what are your impressions on the front end?
I think it's just great right now. I think there was initial thinking early on by a lot of people that they had to know everything,
Hmm.
and I think we've gotten over that as a community. Hopefully, I know I keep telling people like you absolutely do not need to know all of this stuff coming out. So if you have that mentality of I just got to learn what I need to do to get stuff done or what I'm doing research on, you have a great set of tools out there that when you have a particular problem, there's going to be a tool. Something written in JavaScript will do everything. So there's something there. It's much better than like when I started 15 years ago and you have to do everything by scratch pretty much.
Right. Absolutely. And I think the important thing is, at least from my opinion, is to get that good JavaScript foundation, to learn how to write JavaScript. And this has been preached for years. It's nothing new, but learn how to write vanilla JavaScript, understand it, know how to manipulate the DOM, know how to get at what you need to do. Learn ECMAScript, make sure you're up to date with, I mean, heck, I just saw the other day that 2019 is out and I didn't even read the article. I'm so, it's easy to fall behind in that world because it's changing so quickly, as opposed to 5 years ago and 6, 7, 8 years ago when it didn't change at all for the first 10 years. But I think that's the important thing, is to really get a good foundation. And then all those other frameworks are just that. They're just frameworks and libraries and syntax that you need to, or certain, functions that you need to learn how to use. And it's just a way to arrange your code differently. Um, I haven't, I won't go there. um, so we're in a new year, right? 2019. Um, Last year, there was a lot of buzz about things like blockchain, um, virtual or machine learning, AI, those kind of things. Excuse me. What do you see being the big thing in 2019?
Oh Lord, I don't know that stuff. I think machine learning for sure, especially in terms of tools and APIs that make it like bone dead simple.
Mhm.
Like I don't want to know about the math behind how this thing works, but if you tell me, send in this data stream and you'll do all the math and give me intelligence out of it, tools and offerings like that make it easy for dumb people like me to use it. I think will be, we will be the real winners of all the research going on in that area.
Um, I was just looking at TensorFlow the other day, and I pulled up the docs and I started going through the quick start, and then of course I got distracted with something else and never got back to it. But yeah, tooling, I think, is, I mean, it's like everything, and it to me is kind of partly part of the reason why things like blockchain kind of and I don't want to say die, but it kind of had that initial hype, and then it kind of went away. And I think tooling has a lot to do with that. I mean, if you don't have good tooling that makes it easy, I mean, sure, you could have these amazing technologies, but if only like 10% of developers know how to use them, what good are they? You know?
At the end of the day, if the API is using the super advanced machine learning and it just has an API, you don't have to care. It could be monkeys in the back end actually doing it by hand versus, how. If the API works and it's easy to use and powerful, then you're good to go.
Hey, I thought of a new business idea for you. I mean, you have 7 kids. I mean, you could just put them to work down in the basement on doing machine learning algorithms.
They have Amazon had that thing. What was it called?
Turk, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Like,
just
your,
farm it out. 1/10 of a hundredth of a cent per line processed, right? So of the kind of things, and not just the things I just mentioned, anything included, and I don't want to put you on the spot here, but what kind of trend or fad did you not care for? Do you think was overhyped or, wasn't really worth the hype that it got?
Blockchain.
Yeah,
Sure.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's of no value. I'm sure it has a lot of value, but like, I remember learning what it was one time and like promptly core dumping it. Like, okay, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, that's great, but I will never work with it. I won't do anything with it. Just not something that I care about.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it has its uses and applications, and especially I think in like, I mean, you could even imagine at some point voting systems being tied to blockchain for authentication and things like that. And manufacturing obviously is the big one that a lot of companies tout. But how many of us really work on those kind of applications,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big linked list that has references to previous, and the maintainability. Imagine, not only the maintainability, but the power that it takes to do some of those calculations. I don't know if it's sustainable, and I'm not an expert. There's people much smarter than me when it comes to this kind of stuff, but there was a lot of noise about it last year, and I don't know if it was deserved. So, okay, away from the kind of crystal ball type stuff, what and we touched on this a little bit, and you mentioned Gradle, but what are your thoughts on learning Java? I mean, give a little background. Ray was a Cold Fusion developer for many, many years, and Cold Fusion runs on Java, runs on the JVM, and I know from how many times you've told me you were in fear of Java for a long time, I think, right?
Yeah, I remember when it came out, so I've been playing with it for a very long time, or at least been around it for a long time. It looks like a great platform. It looks like it's matured. I'm going through this book here, which I will
give a shout out.
Core Java SE9 for the invitation. Just like some of the new syntax features, like inline functions, although it's not called that, or is it called that?
Lambdas.
Yeah. Like stuff like that. The other one was looping over collection. They have a shorthand for that.
Mm-hmm.
It really feels like the language has come a long way.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a modern language. It's still not something I would choose if I had a choice in the matter, but it feels really mature. So.
I agree with you. It's still so verbose for me. I use Groovy, which can take 5 lines of Java and boil it down to a single line of code. But I think they're making a lot of progress, and I think their release cycle, which is down to like 6 months now, I think is going to help with that. It's going to keep pushing them, to keep making innovations and keeping the language relevant. So I know the answer to this, but and for those who don't know, last few years Ray's been pretty big on Node. Compare Java to Node.
it feels a lot quicker to write. It feels a lot quicker to play with and develop.
Node does.
No, oh yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Although I'm happy to see that there's the Gradle type stuff, which feels a bit like NPM to me. It feels
Mhm.
like it's a good productivity tool. Um, but like language wise, I would absolutely much prefer Node.js to Java, and that's just I think the way I like to write code. So it's
Mhm.
not a slam against Java at all. And you call it verbose. I had to learn Objective C about 3 years ago, and oh my god, like that is a verbose and very again also very powerful, good language, great platform for iOS. But so happy I'm not doing it anymore.
Right. I was actually doing a video chat with my brother a few days ago, and um, he wanted to learn about Arduinos and programming those. So I did like a 2 hour, and he has no programming background. He's messed with like SQL here and there and macros and Excel. So, he has a little bit of a background. But, so I was trying to, dive in the deep end with C++, which I barely know myself. And we're doing this video chat, and he made some kind of remark about the syntax, and it was a simple thing, but it reminded me that so much of language choice, it's not everything, but so much of language choice is just the comfort with the syntax, and how it makes you more productive, just because of the familiarity with the syntax and the comfort with the syntax. So yeah, that kind of ties in with what you're saying about Node. It just feels right to you, and um, plus, I think it's hard to get used to going from something that's untyped like JavaScript and go to something that's strongly typed like Java. It's hard to make that jump.
Although I really like TypeScript, I'm not using it all
Right,
the time,
right,
but especially because it's optional. You can go
right.
as OCD as you want.
Yep.
I
And
remember doing that with ActionScript,
mm-hmm.
and I loved that. I loved having the the early detection of issues and stuff like that. But like I could like scale back and say I don't care at times as well.
AS3 was fully ECMAScript compliant. It was like I believe one of the first languages that was ECMA compliant.
Should
Um,
we pour one out for Flex?
we should absolutely. Flex still lives, I believe.
Oh
There's
yeah, under Apache.
hmm there's also a JS kind of version of it, I believe. Apache Royale, I think.
You got well. I know Adobe Air had a non-ActionScript version. It had like an HTML/JavaScript version,
Right.
and I played with that for a while, but it went away with the rest of Air.
Dude, I was on some site the other like 2-3 days ago. I don't remember what it was for, but it was some kind of certification or something, and it was a recent thing. It was not like something that's old, and it said that one of the requirements to take the test was Adobe Air. I'm like, oh my, I'm like, that's a name I haven't heard in years. Like, does it even still exist? I didn't even know that you could still download it.
I'd be willing to bet there's an enterprise somewhere who still needs it, and
Right.
Adobe will generate the binaries for them.
It was I liked Air. I mean, it was cool to play with. I built Air apps for desktop. I built some mobile apps with it. To me it was like the native script of its day.
Hmm. I
So,
liked it too. I mean, it was all about enabling people to build stuff. I'm always pro that. The
mhm.
argument is that it allows you to build crap. And I'm like, well,
It's
build crap.
everything, right? Everything allows you to build crap if you try hard enough. Um, if peanut butter wasn't called peanut butter, what would it be called?
Nutty Gray Sludge. You have a Nutty Gray Sludge and jelly sandwich.
What's Soylent Green? Is that it?
Yeah.
Soylent Brown. Soylent Brown.
Brown. Yeah, I guess brown's better than gray.
Um, are you colorblind? No, that's not a question.
What color is peanut butter then? It's light brown.
Yeah, it's
Man,
khaki.
nutty khaki. This is why I'm not in marketing.
Exactly. Um, you used to do a ton of open source work. Do you still Do you still work on a lot of open source? Do you still release a lot of projects?
Uh, Not really projects as much. I mean, everything I write, I put on GitHub,
Mm-hmm.
and so to me that's not like a project. It's not like I'm gonna work on this forever. It's here's some crap that I wrote because I was learning. Take it and do whatever you want with it. In terms of like projects,
Mm-hmm.
nothing. I had a bunch with Cold Fusion,
Bunch,
and
man.
yeah, I don't. I'm not interested in that anymore. And
No?
no, and
Why?
most of the stuff I built, like blogging and forums, that's all like services now. Like I
Right.
would never write that from scratch unless I was learning. I'm a big fan of building something like a blog when you're learning, but professionally, I would never write a blog or write my own forums. I would use one of the many services out there.
That's true. And how many Twitter clones and Instagram clones do we really need in the world nowadays?
None. We don't need the originals either.
I agree with you. Um, what's the best team you ever worked with?
Oh, probably the team of Joe and Sean Portfield at Broad Choice. Other nice people as well. I was easily the most dumb person on that team, and it was great. It was awe-inspiring. Kotek as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was fun. And that was an air project. It
Oh,
was
right,
first Cold Fusion, and then it was air.
right. That's right. And is that project completely dead, or is that still out there available?
I don't follow the company anymore. The owner or CEO, whatever, once every couple of months, he will send me an email with some random Star Wars product he's found, which is cool. And I tell him thank you. And that's about it.
Right. Funny that the best team I ever worked with involved half the people that you worked with at that
Yeah.
company, Kotek and Joe and um, Scott Strohs and Johan and some of the other guys that I worked with at Booz. That was probably the best team. And like you said, man, I will pick being the dumbest guy on the team over being the smartest guy on the team any day of the week. Just the ability to learn and be challenged, and uh, to me, that's more important than anything. Um, what of Avengers and Star Wars? What movie are you looking forward to more this year, or see something else?
I mean, they're both they're both big endings. It's the end of the trilogy. It's the end of the Avengers. Probably more the Marvel one, just because
Really,
it's really like the end of like 20, not 20 years, like 10 years of like Marvel films. I mean,
Star Wars is the end of like 40 years of films, though.
yeah. I mean, I will give more props to Marvel because they handled that shit well.
Yeah.
I mean, they had so many characters, so many films. They had a plan and they stuck to it. Some movies maybe were not as great as others, but they had no real bombs. They had no real stinkers, and again, they had good creative visions that are different amongst this while still following a plan. I'm super curious to see how they kind of launch what comes next. The rumors are that they won't have a big plan again, or
Mm-hmm.
they may wait a while before they do a plan, just kind of have some simple ones.
Mm-hmm.
But like I mean, obviously it made them a crap ton of money,
Sure.
but they deserve a lot of credit for imagining that. And so Star Wars also has this long history, but it's also a lot smaller in terms of
Scope,
what's going on.
right?
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I think just the ability to balance all of those stars that they've had, it's been pretty impressive, especially when it comes to the Avengers movies. To give all these different characters the airtime and still have it feel like nobody's really dominating the story. I hope they don't, and I'm sure they won't, but I hope they don't go the kind of cop out route that they could go to kind of resolve this, and just kind of pull out like the time stone or something and say, oh, let's just rewind time. I think it'll be neat to see how they do it. And I haven't, I really just kind of got into the Marvel movies. I mean, you guys were all years ahead of me, and I know I probably deserve to have my geek card revoked for admitting that, but um, I'm into them. I dig them. I still have some that I need to see too.
Mm,
I haven't seen any of the Ant-Man movies or
they're good. You know, the best thing about the Ant-Man films is that they tend to be a lot smaller scale and a lot less serious,
yeah.
and it feels like a breather almost from all the intense drama.
I hopefully it'll be because the last flight I took it was on there, but for some reason I didn't watch it. So hopefully when I go to London it'll be on that flight and I'll watch it. Um, let's do some word association. I say a word and you say the first thing that comes to mind.
Beer. Oh, wait, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's not beer time yet, is it? No, it's only 4 o'clock in your time zone. Cloud.
Marketing.
Nice. Um, mobile.
Default.
Okay. Cold fusion.
Oh, conflicted.
There you go. Book.
um, comfort.
Okay. Family.
Comfort.
Apple. Overhyped.
Yeah.
Microsoft.
Underhyped.
I don't know, man. They had a good year. They've had a good couple years.
Yeah, no, I think they're, I, for for a while, people were like, oh, can you believe Microsoft is doing this? And I think now we're just past that, where people are generally giving
Accepting.
Microsoft a fair shake now.
Right. I
But
agree.
I won't believe it until I stop seeing freaking IE jokes. Like, just let IE die.
That's
Just be done with it.
that's the default. I mean, it's the easy, it's the cop out, right? Google.
Everywhere.
It's true. Hey, do you have the Google Wi-Fi?
No. So when someone suggested their
Oh,
Wi-Fi
that's right.
solution, I had already invested some money in some more Wi-Fi stuff. So like, I don't want to spend more money to completely replace my entire home network.
Uh-huh.
Even though it may be great. Maybe like next year, if I get a good bonus, I'll go buy it and make sure I can return it in case it's not a big change.
I've heard great things about it, especially with the big kind of wide open house like you have. They say that the mesh networks are definitely the way to go. So
I'll believe it when I see it.
exactly. Um, movie.
Escape.
Okay. Gaming. Escape.
Escape.
um, Facebook.
Conflicted. I
Okay.
can go into why, but yeah.
Why? Is-
I certainly understand a lot of the concerns about privacy and things like that. As a practical matter, it is the way I keep up with family.
Mhm,
And in recent months, that's been more important to me.
mhm.
So it's something that I like, while also accepting the fact that I understand why people have issues with it.
Sure. Absolutely. Um, I saw a report yesterday, I think, on Reddit that, and I don't think it's Facebook, maybe it was Facebook exclusive, but anyhow, just in general, that a vast majority of the fake news shared was shared by people over 65. Did you see that one?
I can believe it.
That's crazy. I'm not claiming to be Nostradamus, but I swear when I was like 20 years old, so like 97, 98, that time frame. Yeah, and I know I just told how old I am, but um, I mean, the gray kind of gave that away, right? Um, I remember telling my buddy, man, and like I said, I'm not Nostradamus and I didn't predict any of this, but I worried back then about the internet and just the fact that at some point anyone can put whatever they want online and get it enough credibility that you're going to get somebody to believe you. What was the other quote that I saw yesterday or today? We've kind of gotten to the point where fact is whatever we want it to be. Whatever we want to believe is kind of what facts are now.
There's, talk about underappreciated Running Man with Schwarzenegger. There's a great scene in there where they like live edit some video to like totally change it, and like that's happening now, unfortunately, with women in these fake porn videos.
Yeah.
But that was definitely
prophesied.
Yeah, prophesied, and otherwise kind of corny movie.
All right. Is cereal soup?
No.
No. It makes you think though, doesn't it?
It did. I really miss cereal a lot. Like of all the things that I don't eat anymore.
You don't eat cereal?
I don't eat that anymore. Very rarely I'll have some cereal, but it's just not healthy for you. I don't.
Yeah, I haven't given it up completely, but I have maybe a bowl every week or two. You remember my trough of cereal that I had when you stayed at my house, right?
I can remember one day you were telling me for a snack you would have a bowl of cereal. I'm like, oh my god, dude.
Yeah, that's how I gained the 25 pounds that I lost last summer. What's the funniest comment you ever wrote in code?
Oh, I'm not typically very funny.
No.
Comments. I'll typically curse quite a bit, and then I take that out typically before I share it.
Right.
I don't comment a lot because a lot of my code is for a blog post. I know I'm surrounding it with a bunch of text anyway, so I won't have as much text in my code itself, if that makes sense.
Let me ask you, how long have you been in DevRel now?
Well, officially 5 years, but I mean, I was doing it unofficially for probably 10 plus years.
Sure, but of the 5 years that it's been your full-time job, do you feel like you've lost touch? Could you write an application tomorrow? Could you write from start to finish, a whole application? Or do you feel like you've lost kind of some of your developer abilities?
No, I mean, I have never been able to like do everything by scratch. I'd have, browser tab open, Googling for stuff.
Sure.
I've been using Node.js for a long time, but like most of the aspects, I'd have to refresh my memory in terms of, this is how you define an express route, for example. Like I know vaguely. If I was like writing code all day long, I would be more ahead skill wise, but I've developed other skills that have been good for my career, so I don't mind.
So, would you ever take a job full-time coding again?
Probably not. What I kind of envision in like 20 years when I'm ready to like retire or stop doing this, I want to do QA because I'm really good at breaking stuff.
Yeah, you are.
I mean, that's how I do my DevRel in general. Like, if I'm doing a new product for my company, I will get it and I will try to break it and try to read the docs incorrectly, maybe on purpose. But I go in with the mindset of let me see how I can break this, use it incorrectly, and so forth. And I think I'd be great in QA.
Yeah, you were always good at that. Joe Reinhardt was always amazing at that. I mean, you have this real prideful moment where you really, hey, here, check this out, look what I did, and within 5 minutes you have like 20 bugs, filed for crap you didn't think of. Or no, I try to do the same when I'm developing. You have to think, how could somebody break this at some point? So you have to, make sure you capture all those edge cases. I think that's about all I had prepared. Anything else you want to speak to the world while you have the world stage here? You have millions of people watching you.
No.
No. All right.
Go home and hug your family if you have it. If not, hug your cat or hug your dog.
And if you don't have a cat or dog, buy one.
Yeah, get one.
Spade, get them spayed or neutered though. Wait,
Exactly.
am I Bob Barker now? There's probably people watching that don't even know who Bob Barker is.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So going back to Running Man, there's that scene in there where he does Gilligan's Isle. He does the
Hmm.
theme. The guy on the phone has no idea what he's singing. He gets all mad.
How old is that movie? That's like 80s, right?
That's old.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
I will throw something out. So Schwarzenegger has been doing a lot of small films lately that get like no press.
Really?
So, for example, he did a film called Maggie, which is a zombie film, and it's easily one of the best zombie films I've seen. It's very slow, it's very quiet, which for a zombie film is different. He did a film where it's him and the other character. His family all dies in a plane crash, and the other character is the air traffic control guy who did it. Well, it was his fault,
Hmm.
and it's a serious drama piece. And there was another film that's like already out on DVD, whatever, that I never heard of in the theaters, and he's pretty darn good in it.
Hmm. I'll have to check that out. Speaking of zombies, are you still watching Walking Dead?
Oh,
I stopped like 3 or 4 episodes into last season, I think. And I've heard it's gotten better, but
I liked Negan. I didn't like the gratuitous violence,
yeah.
but I did like him. And
I think it
yeah,
just
this last season I switched to text summaries because I'm just kind of done with it. And I get that it's not about the zombies. The zombies is like
right,
nature. It's about man versus man.
right.
But I think these type of shows they need to freaking end.
Yeah.
They need to like have a middle and beginning, middle, and end at some point.
It just otherwise it just starts kind of being the same season repeated every year, you know. It's like okay, who's the big bad guy this year and what internal conflicts within the group are going to arise? What pregnancy or other improbable situation are we going to deal with?
So a show that was almost good was Last Ship, where season one was about like a giant plague that wiped out most of the world, and these folks are on a Navy ship and they're kind of like in the Arctic and they're safe, and there's like chaos and all that. And for a couple seasons, they had the apocalypse, and then it was like post apocalypse, so they had stuff about like rebuilding America.
Hmm.
That was fascinating in
Yeah.
terms of just what was going on. But again, they just went a little bit too far.
What was that called?
The Last Ship.
See, that's not something you ever really see in those kind of shows like Mad Max and that. Is the rebuild, right? And that's an interesting concept. Of course, it's been visited how many times what happens, in this apocalyptic world, and it's every man for himself. But what happens when people start settling down and say, okay, let's get our shit back together and redo this? So that's an interesting concept. Um, you said something about a ship in the Arctic. Did you see what is it, the Terror?
No, I saw the ads for it.
It was a good show, man.
I'll watch it eventually.
It was
I'm
good.
watching. Okay, so now we're all about TV. I'm watching Killing Eve now with
What's
Sandra Oh.
Oh,
It's
okay.
on BBC America. It's on season one's done. I think season two is coming soon. But it's about an assassin and the woman hunting her. And it is really, really good. Great soundtrack.
Who else is in that?
I should know, but all I
Isn't
know is
there
Sandra Oh.
isn't there a guy in that? Another like famous type actor? I've seen something about that. I'll have to check it
I
out.
didn't recognize anybody else but Sandra Oh.
Okay. Cool, man. Well, we're about 5:11, so we've gone about 45 minutes, and I think that's all the questions I had. And I could sit here and talk to you for hours, but I don't know how entertaining that would be for the rest of the world. So, um, I think we'll wrap it up there. I appreciate your time, and it's
Sure.
always great to talk to you and see you. So um, I'll wrap it up there, and I'll see you in March at DevNexus.
Absolutely.
Cool, man. Thanks a lot.